All right, car lovers and gearheads, let's dive into the wonderful world of turbochargers. You've probably heard the term thrown around in the car community, on the racetrack, or even from that one friend who can't stop talking about his car has a turbo. But what exactly is a turbocharger? Why do we care so much about them? And most importantly, how do they make cars faster and more exciting? Buckle up, because we're about to break it all down. Please don't forget to subscribe, as it helps us reach more gearheads. Let's kick things off by understanding what a turbocharger is in the simplest terms. A turbocharger is like a super-powered air pump for your engine, and its job is to force more air into the engine's combustion chamber. More air equals more oxygen. More oxygen equals a bigger boom during combustion. A bigger boom means more power. That's the magic of the turbocharger, using air to boost your engine's output. It's like breathing through a snorkel versus breathing without one. With a snorkel, which is a naturally aspirated engine, you get limited airflow. But with a turbo, it's like opening the floodgates of fresh air straight into your lungs, giving you the energy to run faster. Now, let's talk about the guts of this turbo magic, its anatomy. A turbocharger has three main parts. Compressor wheel. This is the part that compresses the air and forces it into your engine. When the compressed air enters, it's like giving your engine an oxygen-rich meal, making it more powerful. Turbine wheel. Think of this as the powerhouse. It's connected to your exhaust and spins like a madman, powered by the exhaust gases leaving your engine. So, not only does it create power, but it also utilizes your waste gases. Talk about efficiency. Center housing. This is the heart of the operation, linking the turbine and compressor wheels with a shared shaft. It's also where oil flows to keep the turbo cool and lubricated because, let's face it, things heat up when you're dealing with turbo power. Interesting fact, the typical turbocharger can spin up to 150,000 revolutions per minute. That's about 30 times faster than the engine itself. Fast, right? Well, you might be asking yourself how a turbo actually makes more power. Actually, what is familiar is the idea of the boost pressure. For sure, the boost is the amount of pressure in the air created by the turbo. If you force more volume into the engine, your car's fuel injectors will inject more fuel, and you get a more potent combustion. Suppose we put more logs on a fire. It glows up, becomes brighter, and continues to burn longer. Same with your engine. Most factory turbos operate at about 6 to 8 psi of boost. And in layman's terms, this may not sound like much, but trust me, that's a 50 to 100% increase in horsepower depending on the car model. That is why we find that most turbocharged engines are usually a smaller package than naturally aspirated ones. They have more power in them. But now that we're hyped about turbos, it's time to discuss the flip side of the turbo coin, turbo lag. Anyone ever use the accelerator and notice that the car seems to be slow for a while and then kicks back to life? That's turbo lag. Turbo lag is a term you'll commonly hear because the turbocharger takes a while to spool up. Since the turbo is mounted on the exhaust side and it uses exhaust gases as an energy source, it's only effective after sufficient exhaust is accumulated to turn the turbine. Thus, there's a brief interval between the time that you stand on the throttle and the time you get the turbo boost. Today, some manufacturers of turbo systems have minimized turbo lag through some innovations such as the twin scroll turbos and even electric turbos, more details of which are provided below. Believe it or not, there's more than one way to turbocharge a car. Let's explore some of the key types. Single turbo. What many do not know, though, is that the original application of turbochargers was just a single unit. Straightforward, but once in a while needs some tag-along turbo lag. Twin turbo. It will have two turbos, which I think is not much of a surprise to anyone. Sometimes they're the same size, or else they're of different sizes, one being the parallel twin turbo while the other's the sequential twin turbo. Here, the first turbocharger is small and allows the engine to suck in comparatively less air and assist in low revolutions, while the second turbocharger is large and starts working at high revolutions, thus minimizing the lag and providing a continuous supply of power. Twin scroll turbo. This type has two entirely different scrolls or pathways through which the exhaust gases pass, therefore being more efficient and with little lag. You can imagine it as twice the width of the highway during rush hour, fewer traffic congestions, and more juice. Electric turbo. Electric turbos employ a miniature electric motor to drive the compressor in advance of the exhaust gases. This almost does away with turbo lag, and we are beginning to witness it, especially in performance and hybrid vehicles. Turbocharged engines in action. Alright, now let's have a look at some exemplary turbos and what they have to offer. Nissan GTR R35. As big as the giant Godzilla, the Edward car, as it was nicknamed, was really monstrous and exceedingly large. The car comes with a twin-turbo V6 in its engine and can give out a whopping 565 horsepower, and 0 to 60 miles per hour is achieved in merely 2.9 seconds. That's what's described as turbocharging for you. Porsche 911 Turbo S. Porsche's 911 Turbo S is in a relative league of its own, which has to make it a favorite for many. The car has a twin-turbo flat-six power plant that gives it 640 horsepower and gets this machine up to 60 miles per hour in an astonishing 2.6 seconds. Blowers and accurate German workmanship are combined here. Mazda RX-7 FD3S. Unquestionable beneficiary of the 90s JDM craze, the RX-7 was one of the first cars to use what's become killer now, a sequential twin-turbo system. One small turbine to pick up low revolutions per minute, and a larger one to take over when the driver presses the accelerator pedal. However, what made car geeks, racers, and tuners from all across the globe develop a love affair with the concept of turbochargers? In a word, they make cars go faster, use less gas, and become cooler. But that's not all. Turbochargers are also a more environmentally friendly method to increase power since the unit reuses exhaust gases to generate energy. Interesting fact: turbochargers were first invented to assist aircraft engines back in the early 1900s to improve their performance, especially during high altitude where there's less air density. They were not used much in automobile designs and manufacturing until the 1960s and 70s, but nowadays they're all over the place. When we're barreling toward an electrified future in the motorsport world, you may assume that the time for the turbo has been and gone. But hold on. However, turbos are not to be sidelined, especially when one looks at hybrid and electrically powered vehicles. There exists an advancement in turbo technology with the widespread adoption of electric turbos and hybrid turbo systems. Electric turbos do away with lag altogether and use electric motors to turn a compressor. They can spool up instantly and give that quick rushing moment that turbo fans love and await. Now, it's important to note that before we talk more about turbos, they're related to another type of system known as the supercharger. Both systems' goals are to draw a larger volume of air into the engine, but they do it in different ways. A turbocharger is an exhaust gas-driven device, while a supercharger receives its power through the engine's crankshaft. So, which is better, turbo or supercharger? Well, it all depends on what an individual is searching for. Turbochargers are usually the best in this regard and can deliver more power while exerting less pressure on the engine. However, superchargers deliver instant power. You do not have to wait for the boost to come. That is always similar to comparing two types of ice cream. Both are good, simply good in their own sense. So, there you have it, a complete breakdown of turbochargers and why they matter. They're not just about making your car faster. They're about efficiency, innovation, and pushing the limits of what's possible under the hood. From the drag strip to the racetrack to your daily commute, turbochargers have forever changed the automotive game. Next time someone says it's turbocharged, you'll know exactly what kind of power they're packing under that hood. Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Give it a thumbs up if you like the video, and please make sure you're subscribed so that you don't miss our next episode in the Muscle Car Vault.